Hi friends, this is Ravi from PT's English, your English teacher. Today we are going to focus on about the auxiliary verbs. These auxiliary verbs are actually helping to identify the tense of the sentences. The main auxiliary verbs are be verbs, have verbs and do verbs. The be verbs actually relating to the continuous tenses, but about the have verbs they are focusing on the perfect tenses, and about the do verbs they are telling about the simple tenses. The main be verbs are is, are, was and were. Have verbs are have, has and had. The do verbs are do, does and did. Today we are really going to study in detail about the do verbs only. In the present tense, do and does are accommodating, and while in the past tense we are using did as the auxiliary verb. In the present tense, if the subject is singular, we could use does as the auxiliary verb, but in the case of plural in the present tense, we are using do as the auxiliary verb. But in the case of past tense, there is a slight change, that is whether it is plural or singular the subject may be, we use did only as the auxiliary verb. For example, they do eat vegetables, he does eat vegetables. Here the subject they is a plural, but in the second sentence he, the subject, is singular. In the first sentence they plural, that's why we used do as the auxiliary verb. In the second subject he is the singular one, so we accommodated does as the auxiliary verb. But in the case of past tense, there is no change in accordance with the subject, as past form of the verb go is went, so we have accommodated here went as the main verb in the past tense. Here we are omitted or avoided did in the past tense and in the present also. That is, we could come into a conclusion that in the present tense, in the positive sentences, we are avoiding or omitting these do verbs, because in these two sentences, that is adding the do and avoiding the do verbs, there is no difference in the meaning. There is no difference actually these two sentences are making. So it's the using of these do verbs is unnecessary in the sentences. That's why we are avoided or omitted in these sentences, especially in the positive sentences. But in the case of negative sentences or interrogative sentences, of course we must use these do verbs. For example, in the case of a negative sentence, I don't like to go, he doesn't like to go. Here these two tenses are negative, but we are intentionally using these do verbs as the auxiliary verbs. And same as the interrogative sentences also, we are using these do verbs. Do you want to go there? Does he like you? These are the interrogative sentences. Here also we are using these do verbs. So in final we could conclude that as far as concerned to the be verbs, as far as concerned to these do verbs, there are certain rules are there. That is, according to the subject, these auxiliary verbs are changing in the present tense, but there is no change in the past tense. In the case of subjects, according to the subjects, there is no change in the past tense, but in the present tense there is a change in the according to the subjects, the verb is changing. And in the present tense, in the positive sentences we are avoiding or omitting these do verbs, but in the negative sentence and the interrogative sentences we are using these do verbs. These are the details regarding to the do verbs, and next classes we will discuss about the H verbs and B verbs in detail, and one more session is there There is a modal verbs, that is shall, should, will, would, can, could, may, might, dare, ought to, etc. The modal verbs that we will discuss in another class. So there is 2 more classes are there to complete this regarding the auxiliary verbs. So please subscribe, consider subscribe our channel, then you will get the latest updates. Thank you.